Gents, it is the 2nd of November, and this is what I woke up to. Welcome to Michigan. Look what came in the mail. 303 British neck sizing die by Redding. This is a bushing die. I've already messed with it just a little bit. Anyway, so what I plan on doing with this video is I have 20 pieces of brass here, and 10 of them I want to size with this, with the decapping rod in. That's a fairly standard Redding decapping rod. Nothing special. I don't have the carbide sizer. They don't make the carbide sizer for 303 British, sadly. Not even Lyman does, so whatever. Worst things in the world have happened. But although this is not an expander mandrel proper, I mean, it works just the same. So the other 10, I'm going to use that. And we're going to compare them. We'll see how well they do it in range. Anyway, let me get set up for this. So, before I forget, I'm going to be using my Redding 303 British body die on this to give myself a 2000s shoulder bump. After that, then I'm going to neck size using the bushing. 10 of them are going to be with the expander ball. And then the other ones, I'm going to take the expander ball out, and we're just going to use the Lyman expander mandrel, quote unquote. Okay, we're set up. This is kind of a weird angle for me. I'm gonna have to bend around the camera, but here's the first piece. This is with the expander ball. So we can see it's floating roughly around the 50, a little bit below actually. You see it goes up to from 48 to a little above 51. So that's about 3 thousandths. That's not the best, but it's not absolutely terrible. Oh, I think I just might have bumped the... Let's find out. Okay, 49 to 51. About a 0.5 thousandths. That's another case of where it's about 3 thousandths. That was a little bit of below 1 thousandths. Part of me wants to be nice and say it was 0.5 thousandths, but we'll call it 1 thousandths. Because honestly, anything below 2 is pretty good. So this is about 1 thousandths. It's barely moving. That's like a 0.5 thousandths. That's about 1 thousandths. We're back up to 3. 0.5 thousandths. So extreme spread of roughly 3, but we're seeing a lot that are around 1 thousandths. And a good portion of those are even less. We're just rounding up basically. That's not bad. So let's take a look at the ones that we use the mandrel on. Accidentally bumped the camera again, but said it's pretty weird. Thanks. Okay. This is with the mandrel. That is a little over 1 thousandths. 3 thousandths. 3 thousandths. I think that was me bumping it. a little over 1,000. Oh. That's over 4 for certain. What? It's almost 2. We'll go ahead and call it 2. 1. A little over 1. We can call that 3. It's not quite 3. So actually, that's fairly comparable. The expander mandrel actually had a one with 4,000ths. I'm not sure what was up with that, but ultimately, I mean, we can measure these all day and make a bunch of claims, but until we shoot them on paper, we won't know for sure. So next time you guys see this, it's going to be out the ranch. We're going to see how well they print on paper. I'm going to do a little bit more talking. What I'm going to be using for shooting for 303 British is my number 1 Mark III Star, made in, I believe, Sheffield. And it was made in 1916. It's been sporterized, for better or worse. In this case, actually, probably for the better, because it's actually a pretty darn good shooter. And we're going to be shooting at 50 yards. I'm only using this for a front rest. Back rest is just going to be my shoulder. And we'll see how well we'll do. Okay, gents, quick recap, because we have a lot to cover here. So I'm out here with my Lee-Enfield number 1 Mark III. It's been sporterized, it's a pretty good shooter, but we're doing a test of basically mandrel versus standard expander ball. This is just a random charge. I didn't have any expectations for awesome accuracy, so this test is relative. Otherwise, it's loaded to an overall length of 3.075. I forgot to write that down here. But it's 40 grains of 4166, CCI number 34, PPO brass, which has been neck turned to 10,000. So I forgot to write that down as well. And otherwise, we're using 170 grain Parvy Partisan bullets. These are supposed to be match bullets, but, you know, I'm probably going to have to do an additional segment where we do some measurements there, because it's a convenient segue into our results. And here we go. So this here, that is with the mandrel. The mandrel, by the way, is actually a Lyman M die, which is basically a 2-strap mandrel, but, you know, you can buy it for $25 roundabout instead of 60 or 70. So, I mean, I was perfectly happy with that, especially since I might be getting into cast bullets here soon. Anyway, and this is with the standard expander ball. Now, those of you who have a pretty good eye will see that the approximate size of the groups is basically the same when we're talking about the extreme spread. I found that very interesting. However, when we were measuring run out, we did notice we had definitely one outlier, one that was 4,000ths, which is kind of above the danger zone for run out, well, for the case neck. If we are referring to our RCBS documentation. So even if we take 1-2 flyers out of each group, I think we can safely say the mandrel kind of pulled out ahead by a notable margin in this test. By the way, also, although I haven't cleaned the gun in a couple hundred rounds, my firing method, other than 50 yards with only a front end rest, was I fired a shot here on top. Then I fired a shot below, and I made sure I didn't confuse the two. So that way, any fouling was going to be evenly spread, so on and so forth, as well as barrel heating. I also fired them in 5-shot strings, let my barrel cool. because I did notice that at the end of the 5 shots, I was starting to see some mirage. Even though it's only 50 yards, it is open sights, and also it's 32 degrees actually, because we have snow, but it is definitely on the verge of melting. So, like I said earlier, I need to figure out what caused this flyer. Is it the load? Who knows? This doesn't bear any harmonics that say that we're going to get a lot of flyers. It just looks like a bad spread. It doesn't necessarily look like a scatter node. It just looks like a bad spread. It's a 3-inch group at 50 yards. That's not good for this rifle. It's not absolutely terrible, but it's not good. We know we definitely can do better. But we need to figure out, was it the bullet? So I need to measure some bullets, see if we find anything outlandish. Otherwise, this is going to turn into a very deep dive, very deep delve, because even though we fired off 10-shot groups, this is still a very small sample.